Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to University Science and Computer Technology STEKOM University in Semarang, Indonesia. For the webinar International Event, the Implementation of Internet of Things in Society 5.0 Era. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Novita, and I will be hosting you for today's event. I know, please let's welcome our special guest for today. Welcome to the Honorable Dr. Joseph Teguh Santoso as a Rector from STEKOM University Indonesia, Mr. W.B. Ardi Alfianto as a Director Student Affairs from STEKOM University Indonesia, Moshensky Andrey PhD as an Associate Professor, Department of Computer and Information Technology from FE Vernadsky Taurida National University from Ukraine, and to the Honorable Gemechu Wako as a lecturer in Computer Science and Engineering Department from Oromia State University, Ethiopia, and Mr. Priyadi M.Kom as a lecturer of Computer System Department from STEKOM University, Indonesia. And last but not least, also to the honorable guests and audience. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes here. Today's session is being live streamed on Universitas STEKOM YouTube channel. And for today's event, we will start with Indonesian national anthems and continue with the opening speech represented by Mr. Wibiadi Alfianto. And we will start for main event presentation by our special guest today. And each presenter will have time 30 minutes. And after that, with Q&A session and time for picture and closing. Further, for the square of this morning agenda, we will sing our national anthems. So, Mr. Faiz, you can start for Indonesia. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, first now we will invite to the stage most responsible person for the conduction of this skill international event for given opening speech from Mr. Wibi Ardi Alfianto. Yeah, from Mr. Wibi, the time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Novita. Greeting to all participants and also the honorable, all students and all audience. May I first take this occasion to pay tribute to all of the audience of this webinar international event with the title, The Implementation of Internet of Things in Society 5.0 Era, organized by the University Science and Computer Technology, STEKOM, collaboration with VI, Vernadsky Taurida National University, Ukraine, and Oromia State University, Ethiopia. Welcome to the Honorable Dr. Joseph Teguh Santoso as a Rector from STEKOM University, Indonesia. Moshensky Andrey, PhD as Associate Professor, Department of Computer and Information Technology from VI, Vernadsky Taurida National University, Ukraine. Gemechu Wako as a lecturer in Computer Science and Engineering Department from Oromia State University, Ethiopia. Priyadi M.Kom as a lecturer of Computer System Department from STEKOM University, Indonesia. Anggi Novita Sari and Priyadi as the MC and moderator for today. It is a great pleasure and an honor for me to deliver a welcome remark of the opening of this webinar international event. May I first take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation, as well as extend a cordial welcome to all of the audience, in the particular of the speaker of today's event. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to our God, a blessing and mercy that we could assemble in this webinar international event today with topic the implementation of Internet of Things in Society 5.0 era. The honorable our speaker guest today and all audience. I would like to say thank you very much to all speakers that you will present insightful ideas according to your field of expertise in this reputation. And it is a great pleasure to welcome of you to this webinar international. I believe this event will improve knowledge and experience of all participants and provide significant scientific contribution. And for participants, we're so glad and welcome all of you for take a part in our webinar international event. And we are very happy to have all of you on this memorable occasion. And for this event, we will know what tourism destination in other country will hope program can make a feel refreshing and perfect presentation to be delivered by our participant we have. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope through this webinar international event, we can get more information about the implementation of Internet of Things in Society 5.0 era. To conclude, I would like to extend my appreciation to the International Affairs Organization of STEKOM University for making this webinar international event. And finally, I wish you to enjoy the program today and for participants to get new knowledge in the session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the conduction, Mr. Wibiadi Alfianto. And we will go to the main event for today, our audience, and we will go to the next session for time presentation. For this session, will be handled with Mr. Setio Adi Nugroho. Yeah, for Mr. Adi, the time is yours. Thank you. Pak, suaranya masih ke-mute.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you for the time, Miss Novita. Okay, I would like to say thanks for all audience who attend this international webinar. Now we have a theme about the implementation of Internet of Things. In this era, we have a lot of implementation in the technology that already widespread in our society, just like maybe wireless wireless CCTV or mobile phone or a lot of things, and maybe a control lamp control on the room is all about connect using Internet of Things. So Internet of Things today is a very uh, have a very productivity, have a high productivity. Uh, it can create a better performance and better service for our customer or our life. Today we have a speaker, we have a presenter from uh, Vernadsky Taurida National University, Ukraine, Mr. Andrey Moshensky, and then we have Mr. Gemechu Wako from Oromia State University, and Mr. Priyadi. That's all will presenting about the Internet of Things. Uh, we will start the presentation from Mr. Andrey Moshensky, and for information, the question and answer will start after the presentation. Okay, for Mr. Andrew Moshensky, the time is yours.
Thanks a lot. I'm ready now. Doing my presentation on 1 second. PowerPoint. I believe that quality will be enough. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues. I want to say some words about Internet of Things, about Society 5.0, and my presentation, most part of it, will be about data telecommunication channels that can be useful in such countries like Indonesia, like Ukraine, like a lot of countries with difficult geography. So let's begin. I'm a first speaker on this conference, so had to say some words about main idea. You see that era of Internet of Things begins during the technical revolution, during the fourth era. So we need to connect together all links of our future parts of together Internet, new terms of Internet of all, Internet of maybe just Internet. And some years ago, near 80 years ago, one famous scientific, it was Vernadsky. You maybe see that our university have name of this scientific man, said that exists something like noosphere. It was in 1937. In this time was no internet, so maybe our future Internet of Things connected to usually internet connected to another parts will make together it. Okay, next picture also just for demonstration that our digital transformation can be made on the basis of Society 4.0. It's pictures from internet sources will be later, and then all positive parts of our future. Not research, but our future implementation of 5R. So easy connection, easy data search and data mining. I'll not say now about blockchain technologies, but some interesting things can be changed. You see that now we have cloud technology, we have usually internet, and later all will be connected together, and the main interest that our participants of our networks not all the time will know that transmit data to our big internet science. Economics advantage, resolution of social problems, it's all great, but I'll not stay on this little great ideas of our transformation. So you can see also just for demonstration pictures that world will be better, I believe. But sometimes people say, and my things sometimes goes to this side, that it will be the digital prison, but we will live and see what it will be. Okay, so let's trust that world became better, and to get this reason, we need to connect physical world to our digital world. No, let be physical world, real world to the world of internet, to the virtual reality, to Meta, like we usually say now, the same name of company, and to physically connect some objects of physical world to all digital sometimes became any interesting problems. Also, another decision of this future organization of the world, and let me introduce some things about my research. I'll say about wireless sensor network. You see, we have some problems. Example for, I believe, the Indonesia, for Ukraine, for another countries that have large geography and not only cities, not only flat lands, high mountains, forests, and another geographical problems for short-range data transfer, for cell network, for another short-range communication, and not so close people lives to each other, need to be built networks for Internet of Things. And the wireless sensor network can be built on different technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, another baseband in the industrial science magical band 2.4 gigacycles, 5.8 gigacycles, and another bands. These technologies are well known to you. But I want to say some words about sub-gigahertz frequency band, about industrial science medicals, and not only industrial science medical situation, about satellite communication, and about old and fidelity shortwave radio channels that can be used to connect our future users of Internet of Things, of our global network, to our data transfer network. So let's begin. First implementation of sub-gigahertz networks, it's LoRa and LoRaWAN network that can be used on some frequency band. For example, in Europe it's 433, 866 megacycles. In Southeast Asia it's also the same bands, for example 915 or 470 megacycles. For China, for example, it's another International Telecommunication Union region. I believe that the same bands, only frequency range, it's a technical term for data transfer, can be used just for LPD, for 33 megacycles and another bands. But interesting things. You can see that a lot of stations located only in Europe. Yes, you can see distribution of local links inside any location. I'm sorry, but I showed to you not Ukraine and showed Poland. You see that in Ukraine not a lot of data transfer links of this technology located now. You understand that in Ukraine, but this technology is not very famous. It's not very widely used in our country. For example, for southern Poland, Wrocław, you can see on the map location of nodes, location of another gates of this network. It's usually a network implemented by specification of LoRaWAN. So moving object you can see on the roads, and the object that can transfer data from the LoRaWAN network to our internet, it's gates, and also
I'm sorry, Mr. Andrew.
yeah.
The presentation is not moving. Have you change your presentation? It's still slide
Yes, of course.
one. It's
Yeah,
still,
I'm under.
oh, okay, okay. It's still
Oh,
slide one. Have you changed the presentation? It's still,
presentation will be
oh, okay, okay. It's still your photo. You haven't changed to page one or page two or page three.
okay, and you can see that page number now is page number 13. So
Oh, it's not moving.
maybe I don't understand it. You asked. Sorry.
The presentation is not changed. The
Oh,
presentation is not
I'm
changed.
sorry. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe technical problem. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you?
Really
Yeah, yeah.
sorry. Really sorry. I'm put button F5 and so on my screen wonderful picture. So really, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Now about Internet of Things, about data transfer. You know that
Ah, yeah.
digital prison, like I say, will be based on sensors, on the networks, on nodes, and we need to connect all this together by technologies of wireless internet. So I want to say some words. First, about long-range network, you can see frequency. One moment, demonstration. I remember that is F5 button, but now now normally.
No.
Slides changes now.
Yes, I changed,
Yes,
but
great.
it's not.
Not only my photo, yeah.
No, not only.
I'm
Okay.
really sorry. I'm pressed demonstration. So maybe it's funny. You see, previous pictures is just for demonstration. So maybe my presentations has to begin from slide number 11. So let's continue now. Sub-gigacycles band lower than 1 gigahertz. Very high frequency band, LoRa1 and LoRa. Very popularity in Europe, you see in the Western Europe and Eastern Europe, but inside Ukraine, inside another ex-Soviet Union countries, this technology is not very popular. The second reason it's war in Ukraine now. So I'll show to you our neighbors Poland. You can see that these networks can connect together a lot of links, but in radius some kilometers or sometimes tens of kilometers. It's real wonderful technology. The data link speed not very high. It's usually hundreds of bits per second, thousands of bits per second. But for wireless sensor network, it's more than enough. In colors, you can see signal level, heat maps, like we usually call, and a wonderful, I don't know, city or town of Wrocław is connected to this network, and moving sensors can be used in this location. You can see that the data link tested on the roads, tested in the central part of the city. Now I'll not zoom this part of picture. You can see it's only on presentation. The next technology that will be very interesting for your country, you see location of nodes in the Southeastern Asia. So Indonesia is famous on this technology. Also North America, United States and Southern Canada, Europe, not only Western, it's long-range radio on satellites. Years ago, enthusiasts of LoRa radio tried to test this technology on old American satellites, something like SATCOM. You know, the radio operators use this frequency to transfer data, but it was and now also illegal. But all the good is usually unallowed. But now you have possibility to transmit data with this technology, with LoRa 1 using satellite groups. So the next picture is structure of this network. You can see
I'm
that
sorry. I'm sorry. It's
yeah.
still not moving again. It's still at 11, page
Oh,
11.
some technical problem. So
I'm sorry.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Now,
It seems you.
now I'll show
Okay.
the pictures. A wireless sensor network for LoRa 1. It will be most easy. Maybe some technical problems. I'll zoom and show in browser the next pictures. LoRa network, the next network of Wrocław in Poland. It's not very long range network. You can see the kilometers, tens of kilometers in range, and the next. The same technology, but use it on the satellites. Now it's legal usage. It's usage of legal satellites for this technology. Years ago, enthusiasts tried to use this technology on SATCOM satellites. It's geostationary sats of militaries of United States of America. I believe that it's illegal, but for experiments it was used. Now it's really legal technology, and we can use this for our data transfer reason. You can see the network of TinyGS. It's a lot of data receive and data transmit nodes. You can see in the top part of our picture. Then MQTT broker, our MQTT server on picture, no difference than server, decoder, database. Database, the main, it's two-line elements of orbital data to see the space object in the sky, another APIs, and transmit to the web page, usually web interface connected to the geoinformation system, connect to social network, connect to the messengers, and so it's a really great idea. These gates you also can use to transmit your data. Really, this toy is very, very small and teeny. I can show you gate, small printed circuit board. It's a screen, but screen I don't use. Radio model, it's iSyncer ESP32 model connected to it. Another radio model, LoRa, on no Scilabs, it's Simtech model, a 61276, wonderful model, and so you can connect together two PCBs and not only receive but transmit on this frequency. Wonderful network, and on the next slide you can see the implementation of the structure. The first you can see the data transmit and receive stations across my motherland, my native city, the city of Kyiv. If you want, I can show this in the browser. Ladies and gentlemen, now you can see my screen of presentation, or now you can see browser. One moment, I'll show. One moment. I'll show the screen. It will be much better. Now you can see my browser also. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's
We
in
can
real
see.
presentation. It's very great, but in real time in browser it's much better. So let's begin. Let's zoom to Ukraine, to Kyiv. Then let's zoom to Indonesia and watch something interesting. In the Kyiv city located some gates. You can see that in the eastern Ukraine located nothing. You understand why it, but I'll show some gates. 4 gates inside our city. I don't know this wonderful man. It's our young colleague, but really I don't know who is it. It's my friend Vladimir. Also, the gate was made by the same PCB. It's one of my club stations from the next university. It's not Taurida National University, it's another. Location fake, really location of gate is maybe 500 meters to the southwest, but it's not so important, and my home location. And now I can show to you how it will be from receive node. One moment. Of course, my gate is online, located in the next room of my flat. You see I'm online, listed in one of the satellites, software version modified, creation date of my gate, last received pocket is information, my geolocation, location it's real, but now our mapping system in Ukraine due to the war works very, very interesting. So real geolocation and map presentation not the same. You can see confirmed pockets, telemetry pockets, and other. Last month, People Republic of China launched a lot of satellites. It's Gaofen Sats. I understand that SATs not peace. It's military satellites, but telemetry pockets we can receive from these SATs. I don't show you how I can transmit. You see that now I'm not logged into my account to control transmitting. Preparing to demonstration. The next you can see Gaofen satellites received pockets from SAT. What is interesting for our public? I am using frequency 400 megacycles. It's not industrial science medical band, it's band for downlinks from low Earth orbit satellites, but no difference. Output power. You can see that output power not very big, just 3 watts, 3000 milliwatts. Distance, the thousands of kilometers. Elevation angle is angle from a ground station to outcoming wave. Next, signal level. You can see the signal level is really normal for LoRa and LoRaWAN technology. Sensitivity limits something near 148 decibels for lowest data rate, and the signal noise ratio usually negative. So you can, no, I click it on pocket. Now we'll see what is this China satellite pocket. Elements of orbit, acceleration, angles of spacecraft. It's not so interesting, so I will close. If you want, you can open the same link or change ground station to your native. See interesting things. Pay your attention. One moment, let it be. One moment. Wireless sensor network and the Things network. You can see that the same levels of signal on LoRa and LoRaWAN can be reached in ground waves on the same bands on the distances of kilometers and tens of kilometers. So usage of satellite data communication system is very useful for our reason. Next, also one moment. Presentation server, the same pictures you can see on this my data session was not shown the orbits of satellites. Now you can see that low Earth orbit, the distance of receive is not very much. You understand that Kiev city, the central part of Kiev city is high building, so my takeoff angles of my antenna is not very high. And the next you can see my antenna type and feeder. RG58 is not very good feeder, is very high losses, and ground plane antenna for 145 megacycles and not best choice for satellite receiving antenna, but it works. Maybe 8 decibels of loss in the cable and we can receive station very well. You can see the last print screen from the yesterday and the same. Oh, stop. It will be the next. Okay. So we can receive a lot of spacecrafts. We can receive spacecrafts with transmitting with milliwatt output power. For example, some satellites use output power 63 milliwatt, 120 milliwatt. Let's go to the browser again. You can open, for example, satellites and read about the SATs in the open database. You will not found the frequencies of uplink, how to transmit on the satellites. But okay, LoRa plus satellites, it's a great choice. Like for me, LoRa plus another satellites will be the great choice. But you see, SATCOM and LoRa, it's really unlegal, but it works very well. You can see that also the same PCBs, but military satellites. Okay, let's close this and came back to our toys. The next, I'll back to my presentation. The next technology that I am use and also propose it to you, it's high frequency wireless sensor network. It's not a new technology. You know that first experiments with high frequency data transfer across the Atlantic Ocean and something else was spent 101 years ago in 1922. But from this time changed a lot of interesting things. From this time change, our world not became digital. No, I understand that radio models work with analog signal, what is modulation, but we can connect this technology. And now you can see interesting wireless sensor network that connects together a lot of nodes inside the world. So main idea, you can see that I can connect to a lot of satellites. I can connect to gates of LoRaWAN network in the visible area. And now I want to show you interesting things for Indonesia. It's very interesting. Your forests, your tropical forest is not very good area to transmit very high frequency data, but for short waves of high frequency it will be enough. On this picture you can see not all the ground station that have possibility to receive your pocket. Main idea, our sensor can transmit data and receiving gates can be used from another countries, another parts of world, another satellites, but try to do it legal. I am showing now only legal technology. Now we will use not industrial, science, medical frequency only. You can see that in our countries use the same frequency band for experimental work, for amateur radio, for data telecommunication inside these ranges. So the next picture, weak signal propagation report beacon in Ukraine and Kiev. Technical data, output power, it's most interesting. LoRa nodes. Previous satellite communication, VFF, very high frequency communication. You can see that the output power is 1 watt, 3 watt for China SATs, and the lowest power for spacecrafts is 100 milliwatt less. Interesting reason, the output power 10 milliwatts, 0.01 watt. Frequencies. I marked only the bands 40, 20 and the 10 meters band, 7, 14, 28 megacycles. Antenna usually dipole antenna, it's have antenna gain just 2 decibels. I know about ground effect, but buildings that located not far from my antenna don't give me possibility to use this 6 decibel of amplifying by our ground. So we will think that 2 decibel to isotropic antenna, our antenna have gain. Antenna height 20 meters, not very high, but normal to emit radio waves and on 40 meters band also. A message to be transmitted. The message is very simple. It's only call sign, location of our sensor and power. Data transfer protocol for this network agree to transmit not only call but ID of sensor, and then part of call sign will be data to transmit. All the transmitted message is very short. Transmitted message is less than 100 bits. The speed to be transmitted is very low. Our message transmitting during 2 minutes. 2 minutes to transmit 100 bits. No, not 177, but it's not so important. And for data collection, for far nodes of Internet of Things, for agriculture, for monitoring of land shakes, for another interesting things, it's more than enough. So it consists of microcontroller and usually oscillator to generate output signal. Sometimes I'm use PO like output mode of PWM or or sometimes RC circuit, and usually generation direct digital synthesis by HPO of microcontrol. It's technical, so it's not so interesting. Our interest is data transfer range. So screen number 1. But why the screen? Let's open the same in the browser. One moment. Let's connect to the database. You can see that weak signal propagation network, also the data collector of our spots. Now I'll try to renew our data, and you can see that one moment, last time it's international time, 38 minutes, once 2 minutes our transmission, and the call sign of one of the universities, my home location, sometimes transmit also, but I like to use my shortwave antennas for another reason, not only for backend transmission. You can see the real frequency. You can see also the signal noise ratio on other side, somewhere in Europe. This string is somewhere in Austria. So my output power, my location, I'll show the grid square, location of receiver, and the distance by our communication in skywave mode. Azimuth, elevation, mode of transmission, it's all of this parts is really great. But you can see that this morning you can see it's time 6 something, 7 something, signal levels the same, something like minus 20 decibels, and the data transfer range you can see nearly 2000 kilometers on band 14 megacycles on 7 megacycles, data transfer range some less, but also it works. On the map the same things. Maps uploading now, so let's continue with our demonstration. The mapping system, you can see that it's vspr-info.com. On this screen you can see our statistics for 2-week period. The next, you can see that the data and time of this report, it's not very early time, it's the end of the March, so it's nowadays. Interesting things, crossing the Atlantic on 10 milliwatts with dipole antenna on the frequencies of 10 meters band or 28 megacycles. It's very useful because you can in only industrial science medical reason use the same closed band the band with a neighbor frequency 27 megacycle band, it's citizen band, to transmit your data across the same distances, and like for me 7,000-8,000 kilometers to transmit with 10 milliwatts and more than enough. But it's only sometime transmission. Canary Island 4,000 kilometers, it's normally for this distance. Also Siberia the first step, 2000 kilometers is normally. Then the band distribution. You can see distribution for frequency band 40 meters, 7 megacycles. Local communication, the hundreds of kilometers and sometimes thousands of kilometers. The first step of our radio wave, its antenna emit vertical sky wave, not very quality, it's dipole on the half wave height, so it's normal coverage for this antenna. The next frequency nearly 20 meters, you can see the band 20 meters, also the number of our data session 5000, and data transfer range, some change. First, it's not the joint, but you can see where is civilization in the Europe. You can see that Western Europe is civilized, eastern part of Europe is civilized, but sorry, really not very much. Okay, next picture, 10 meters, pay your attention. 11 meters ISM band, citizen band, it's the same data transfer range and same coverage. Data transfer will be possible during daytime in the distances between 1500 kilometers first step till 2500 kilometers. All the more distance is not very stability for this output power, but if you will use output power not just 10 milliwatts, for example 100 milliwatts or 1 watt, it will be more than enough to transmit data on the same bands, the much more distances. Okay, the next picture, our sources. Okay, let's show some interesting things in browser. Maybe we'll find something interesting. Now time, you can see that one more sensor screen, not very useful to see. You can see that now our data transmission from so low power gate can be received only in like thousands of kilometers, but now geomagnetic, one moment, geomagnetic situation is, no, it's normal, it's squid, but sunspot number you can see is not very high, sunflux index also not very high, and magnetic geomagnetic situation, one moment, no magnetic storms now, just not a lot of receive reports. So my proposition to you, two countries like Ukraine with not only the big cities with location of sensors for Internet of Things, it's not very widely used areas. Usage of spacecraft data transmission system is very, very useful. You can see your native country or known call sign of your country, the next gates, a lot of gates, and for example data transfer range of your local gates. Now it will be uploaded. Is at the same, a lot of pockets. Also, I believe it will be pockets from China satellites, dipole types, confirmed pockets, also the same frequency range, but you can see on this link interesting things. The same frequency, the same distances, but control zoom error, sometimes it can be reached when the local signals to noise ratio not very high, but again GAUF and satellites do the job well. So for our countries with mountains, with forests, with difficult geographical position, without cell network connected in this region, transmit data via the satellites, via shortwave data transmit channels will be very, very useful. Dear colleagues, the next slide will show.
Excuse me, Mr. Andrew, and the time is almost end. 5 minutes more, please?
Oh, time limit. I'm very sorry. Last slide, it's
Okay.
sources I'll send to our organization. Sources, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, it's only information for first slides of our presentation. And now the next slides, it's really interesting for builders of Internet of Things network. Thanks a lot for your attention. Sorry if I spend your time for not interesting things, and now listen to your questions.
Okay. Now we have some question. I believe I also have a question. Okay. There's a question on the live chat. Hello, Mr. Andrew. My name is Ray Agustinus. I want
to ask about something rapidly
okay.
developed. How much big impact for social interaction, social culture, and corporate politics? Ability to answer to this question. Maybe this question is about jailbreaks of some bots of, for example, ChatGPT. ChatGPT jailbreaks gives possibility to browse the web by AI systems. Like for me, the best jailbreak for GPT model 3.5 or GPT model 4.0 is a done jailbreak. Done mean do anything now, and the test question number 1 is what time is it now? You know that AI systems like GPT chat don't know, don't have access to NTP server, so maybe it knows he, she, it. Interesting question. Pay your attention. Knows what year is it now, but first question, what time is it now? After you're done jailbreak, chat will answer your question, sometimes some mistake, and the next interesting question. It have no reason. How I can kill a lot of people for $1? Jailbreak will access you to this data. If you want to read something about it, you can read Anarchist Cookbook. This will be more interesting. Yeah, I know. My students also had to read these books to be a technical specialist. And pay your attention, your students also. I believe that my students will never use this knowledge, but now it's for, and sometimes it's really useful. So about AI and jailbreaks and about question, if I answered on your question, I'll be grateful. Ray, Augustine, please.
Okay, apakah sudah jelas, Mr. Agustinus? Mr. Ray Agustin, do you have any question? Okay, I guess I want to ask a question from me. It look like
Okay. I'll show
sending sending data through radio wave. Is it correct? The VSPR.
Excuse me, sending radio wave.
Sending data through radio wave.
VSPR net, yes.
Oh, I see. So how much
to send in radio wave on frequency?
On frequency.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You have now my. You can see my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
My presentation. Okay, I can show something in browser. Let I'll answer and show some pictures. The pictures are better than any walls. For example, first, I don't want to get the call sign. I don't want to have legal usage. I want to be anonymous. Yeah, maybe it's some part of your question. I type industrial science, medical, bands, ISM band. The first choice, bands Europe, bands Wiki. No reason I'll found the ISM radio bands and I'll found the wonderful table. The first. Without any license, I have a possibility to use this frequency. Most interesting frequencies, citizen bands, you can see in films with car drivers speak to each other by CB radio, first band. The
CB.
second band, a long range data transfer for control drones. The next band, walkie-talkie, low PD. In Southeast Asia, you use some another bands. In our country, it's called Xiaomi band 409 dot something. Megacycle, the second your band is PMR band 446 megacycles, FRS band, GMRS band, and local bands for your data transfer is 470 megacycles. The next well-known band, you can see region 2, it's for America, it's 900 megacycles. The next band is our maybe favorite band for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, and another data transfer trash for short range. The next 5 data on the short distance, but it's not our speech. The next, you asked a really interesting question. You can see band plan. So International Telecommunication Union. The next, for amateur usage, you don't have a business, you just send the data to the sensor Wako. International one moment, ETU region, for example, your local region 3. ETU region 3, let's show the picture. So localization of Southeast Asia, of Australia, Pacific region, its location. The next, ETU region 3, ESM. Bands, and the next you will get frequencies for unlicensed data range. The next, for short waves, you asked me a question. Yes, I have a call sign. You can see near my name and my surname, UT5 UV, it's my call sign. A lot of years, it's give me possibility to transmit data on big powers, on short waves, on very high frequency. Power limit for my experiments, it's not 10 milliwatts, it's 1000 watt, but last 20 years I am use only powers with not more than 5 watt, and our communication, it's calls like QRP, Q code, it's ancient data coding from 19th century, from telegraph era, not Internet of Things, but very ancient. So I like to transmit data with low power, and really you have possibilities. VSPR network, the next network, let I show the next picture. It's wonderful.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The time is limit because we have another speaker. But can you write your email?
Questions?
Can you write email on the chat? Because maybe some of the audience know about this frequency, but the radio, but some people don't know that and that doesn't understand about this. So maybe for us who have interest, can contact you via email.
Okay.
Can you write your email in the chat? Can you write your email in the chat? In the chat box?
ut5uv@gmail.com. Yes. Okay, one moment.
On the live chat, on the chat.
My email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Next email, if you want.
Okay. So we
next
can.
question, please.
I guess there's no question for you, Mr. There's no another question. So we can change to another speaker. But for everyone who want to contact Mr. Andrew, you can send email to this email ut5uuv@gmail.com. Okay, thanks a lot for the information, but we have a limit time in this presentation. Okay, there's a very
I'm
interesting
sorry.
information. Very interesting information. Thank you. Okay, I guess it's not for another speaker. It's from Mr. Gemechu Wako from Oromia University, Ethiopia. Mr. Gemechu Wako from Mr. Oromia, are you ready to present your presentation? Okay, please. The time is yours.
Okay. So I think I need to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is it visible? Can you see? Okay. So first of all, I will start from introducing myself. My name is Gemechu Wako, and I am a lecturer at Oromia State University, Ethiopia. And today I would like to present on international webinar on implementation of IoT in Society 5.0 era. So I'll try to make it short as much as possible, and then I would really appreciate if there are any questions and there are some comments and ideas from experts. So let's get started. Okay. Okay, I will start from a layout or overview of my presentation. The content is, that means the content is, it will include an introduction first in my presentation, what the intention and my way of trying to explain the implementation of IoT in what we call it Society 5.0. I kind of took it as if it is something like a seminar, or we can call it also a webinar. So my slide content includes introduction, then there is a topic that we have to get to know, which is Industrial Revolution, IoT, then I'll get to Society 5.0, and then how can we implement Society, I mean IoT in Society 5.0, then I'll try to summarize my presentation. I hope you are listening, right? My voice. Okay. So as an introduction, the rapid evolution of ICT in bringing drastic change to the society and the industry, things are very much changing. The technology is changing the society and the industry. And we are now in a new era, as we are all obvious with, one which is globalization and rapid evolution or change in digital technologies, such as Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and robotics, which are bringing significant change to our society, the way we are living, the way we are interacting with our society, and the way we are doing almost everything in our daily life. The technology and the digital evolution is bringing a very rapid change, and we have to go with that change. So today to connect and communicate the things with each other and to control them without much involvement of manpower. That can be done by using the most effective technology called IoT. IoT is the things that sense and collect the data and send it to the internet. Before talking more in detail about IoT and so on, I would like to take you to the concept and the term which we call it industrial revolution. Industrial revolution means we can consider it as if it is okay, sorry. We can consider industrial revolution as history of digital technology or the way we are living today. So we can say industrial revolution is a theory of radical transformation of a society through technological development. Let us look at the history of industrial revolution for over the last 2 centuries, for example, to understand how the machine intelligence progressively turned into the mainstream that we have today. The first industrial revolution is the era of mechanization, where people in the 18th century, in the like 1780 to 1870, the first industrial revolution started in the mid-80s, 1780s, following the introduction of mechanical production facilities with the help of water and the steam power. Before that, people used to just use their manpower, and there were more of farmers and the like. And in Industrial 2.0, that means after 1870, like almost the end of 19th century, to the mid of 20th century, the second industrial revolution started, which is about mass production. In the first phase of the industrialization, what happened was what we call it mechanization, people making machines, like for example, trains, and by the way, they were using steam power and water. With the help of steam power and water, they used to make cars in the first industry. I mean, Industrial Revolution 1.0. And in Industrial 2.0, what happened is the mass production of most of it is the mass production of the parts of the mechanizations that were being developed in the previous 1.0. And the third industrial revolution, we call it automation. 1970s to, you can say, like 2010. Most of us, we lived in that era. I mean, just we can call it the digital era, third industrial revolution, where people started to use computers. Digital circuit products are being produced more, and the people are using computers, laptops, PDAs, and the internet. Introduction of the internet happened in this era. By the way, I'm talking about this history because it's very much related to what we call it Society 5.0. So, Industrial Revolution 3.0 is all about automation. We can say things, the production of digital circuit products, and what we call it, the emergence of internet happened in this era. The third industrial revolution started in the early 1970s, when the first programmable logistic control, Modican 084, was built. It enabled the production automation through the use of electronics and IT systems. And then came Industrial Revolution 4.0, which we are currently living in. Smart factories. If you remember before 2010 or something like that, if you remember, for example, Amazon, it was not Amazon online shopping. It was not functioning as it's functioning today. I hope you can understand more. Like maybe at that time, the system would have had what we call it. It might recommend us. It may not recommend us products in that system, and so on. But today, in Industrial 4.0, from the beginning of 2011 to today, we could say, things changed very much. The Industrial Revolution 4.0 gave the birth of smart factories through the use of cyber physical systems. We could simply call it an artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things happened. And it didn't just happen, it just exploded, and it became the need for almost every systems and every product in the industry. So it means that the physical systems such as machines, robots, and are being controlled by automation system equipped with the machine learning algorithm. So in Industry 4.0 smart factories, that means the industrial, like, for example, if you take some industry, which is a car making industry, so it kind of is using more of machine learning algorithms in today's world than before. So, sorry. Okay. The development of technologies like Internet of Things, additive manufacturing, robotics, artificial intelligence has been primary driver for the movement of the industry 4.0 that we are living in. So we are kind of living in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, where especially artificial intelligence is becoming our daily habit. Like, for example, if you take recent product of artificial intelligence, which we call ChatGPT or so on. So in that sense, the Industrial Revolution 4.0 is more of our period. We can summarize Industrial Revolution by looking at this diagram where in 18th century, that means the first Industrial Revolution, like I told you, it started by what we call it first Industrial Revolution started by mechanization. That means product of machines started in the 18th century. People started from producing things by handmade to using machines. So in the first Industrial Revolution, what happened is introduction of water and steam-powered mechanical manufacturing facilities. That means we can assume in the 18th century, maybe if there were cars more, they were cars that were being driven or that workers by this steam-powered mechanical manufacturing method. So in the second Industrial Revolution, like started in the end of 19th century, like 1890 or something like that, it was introduction of mass production with the concentrated labor using electricity. That means this in the 18th century, the production of these machines were not very much. That means in numbers, they were produced in numbers. Now in the second Industrial Revolution, they started to be produced in mass. Plus there were also some introduction of new invention, which is electricity and what we call it telephone line in the second Industrial Revolution. In the third Industrial Revolution came what? Electronic devices, which automates the production. Electronic devices, they just didn't come up as something physical device, but what as automation production. They automate the way things are produced and so on. Then since the third revolution, the mankind is attached with electronic devices. Today, in the fourth industrial revolution, we can say the system of merging cyberspace with physical space. We can say what, as considering and relating it to industry, the physical space and the cyberspace is very much connected. That means, for example, your phone and some mechanical device, some machine is connected today. That means with the help of what we can call it IoTs, sensors, and IoT, and so on. If I say this much about industrial revolution, I would also like to review in a very short form. I would like to review what we call Internet of Things. As we know, Internet of Things means we sometimes call it Internet of Everything. If we say things, maybe your mobile phone, it can be your curtain in your home, or it can be your car. These are all considered as things. Then when we call Internet of Things, simply we can say what? There is an internet, and then there are things. It's all about connecting them and making the most out of use of them. So formally, the term Internet of Things, according to 2020 conceptual framework, is expressed through simple formula, which is service plus data plus network plus sensors. What I just tried to simplify here by saying things and then the network. There are, for example, if you take the lock of your door and your mobile phone, if you want to connect it with the lock of your door and then lock it by using your phone or something like that, there is something more that you need more, which is what we call it sensors. That's how the Internet of Things work. This is an example of Internet of Things. We can say Internet of Everything. It's about connecting your home with the internet, some music, some movies, cameras, some message, or you can say some statistical data, health issues, and everything, your cars, some tools, connecting them with the internet, depending on how you need them. That's how Internet of Things is. Architecture of Internet of Things works like we said. It is Internet of Things includes what we said. It includes data, it includes sensors, it includes network. So in that sense, we can consider an architecture of IoT in this way. That means if you want to apply IoT in your environment, especially in Industrial Revolution 4.0 that we are living in today. So we have to be familiar with these layers of IoT environment, which are application layer, processing layer, network layer, and sensing layers. These are interconnected. For example, in the application layer, that is your end product of your Internet of Things. If you are using your mobile phone to control your home, your mobile phone is the application that you are using is the application layer, the end product. You can say the data processing layer is, consider it if you are a computer science or little area professional, then you can understand what database is. How this thing works is it sends data in between the sensors and the devices and the things. So the data processing layer is the processing unit where the data is used to let these physical things function. They will pass a message. The values of those data depends on how the system functions. So the data processing layer, you can call it some database system or a CPU or something like that. And the network layer, Internet of Things uses different forms of network technologies. Like, for example, it uses Bluetooth. There is another gateway for Internet of Things, so that we call it Zigbee, Wi-Fi, and cellular network also, the way communication happens. Then there are sensors, sensing layer. The sensors are very much essential. If, for example, I want to control make my house smart and then use it, connect it to my phone and use it, then it's not just connecting the devices, the environment that are there in my house. They need some extra devices that are the sensors. For example, if I have to use my curtain, opening it and closing it by using my phone, then curtain is something like, we call it a curtain. I hope you understood. So the curtains you can use by your phone. Then that means the curtain is something like cotton or something like that. So you need something more to open and close the curtain. That is the sensors. Or if you want to switch on and off your bulb or your light by using your device, some certain device, your mobile phone, smartphone, certainly, then you need sensors. That are what we call them sensors, like sensors for positioning, for visual cameras, audio, speakers, motions, temperature, and so on. IoT, and our main topic today is more about implementation of IoT in Society 5.0. So we are implementing IoT in society, I mean Industrial Revolution 4.0. So we can say application of IoT, we can consider them as how we can implement IoT in Society 5.0, which I will also describe it more in the coming slides. These are the uses of IoT in agriculture, consumer use, in healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, and the utilities. We can use all of this. How? Okay, sorry, this thing have to go down. I don't know how I can do that. I'll just bring it down here, sorry. So how is IoT, big data, and AI enabling Industry 4.0, the era that we are living today? Industry 4.0 is aimed at that digital transformation to create smart factories. In that sense, smart factories, when we talk about factories, don't forget it's something physical. It might be a robot for used in a certain factory. So you can consider it as something physical. So what Industrial Revolution 4.0 very much focuses on is how can we make use of those physical things. So data is very at the core of Industrial 4.0. As evident from the four major tasks to enable this, for example, to create a connected enterprise, to accumulate as a big data, and to use the power of AI on the big data and implementation. Society 5.0 is another thing that we have to know. When I didn't want to go straight into the implementation of IoT into 5.0 without introducing and making an overview of how did this Society 5.0 came up. So I just wanted to make an overview of those topics. So similar to the progression of Industrial Revolution from Industry 1.0 to Industry 4.0, there is timelines of phases that do not exactly map with that of the Industrial Revolution, that is the society. In Industrial Revolution, we are talking more of the industry, the production, and so on. Then when we come to the society, how did the society communicate? For example, in Industrial Revolution 2.0, I mean 3.0, people what in 2.0, yeah. What invented is electricity and the telecommunication. In that era, people used to communicate by using what? Post office, or by using what we call it at that time, I guess, telegram, and not the telegram that we use now. And by using messengers on horse or something like that. So this society 5.0, I'll try to go through how the society also happened, or how they lived in the past and in that industries. Okay, I will reply them later on. So let's get ourselves introduced with this society 5.0. If we say society 5.0, what is society 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0? The question will be there in our head. So it's my responsibility, and I considered it very much essential to have knowledge or some information about what they are about. That's how we will understand society 5.0 and how we would implement them by the help of IoT. So society 5.0 have precedings like society 1.0, like the industrial one. So the society 1.0, the first till 13 BC, when group of people hunting, simply the society 1.0, they were the hunting society. They go and hunt and they live. The existence of those society depended on the hunting. Then society 2.0 come the farming society, when people formed groups based on agricultural cultivation, increasing organization in the nation. That's how the society happens. In society 1.0, people started to live together and make a society and make something out of it. The reason they wanted to be together maybe was the main thing was in 1.0 was the hunting, and in the second farming, and then in the third it comes what? The industrial. That is, people started to live in from rural areas into cities, urban areas. That is from the end of 18th century to the 20th century, end of 20th century, when people formed a society that promoted industrialization through industrial revolution, making mass production possible. As you can see from the figure here, this is an example of industrial 3.0, where these inventions and the productions happened. Like, for example, if you see railways, railroads, and production of this, more of urbanization, and industrial 4.0 is information society, we can say. The society of 4.0 are information society, how they share. We can take an example of these social medias that are very much familiar today.
I'm sorry,
So
sorry,
okay.
Mr. Gemechu, 5 minutes more.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make it fast. So that's how the society 5.0 happened. This is also an overview of how the society that we are today, the society 5.0, the information society, we can call ourselves the information society. So who are the society 5.0? They are called the super smart society. Let me introduce you with them. Next, we'll introduce ourselves. We will start the topic of society 5.0. Society 5.0 is the future super smart society built up on society 4.0, aiming for what? Prosperous human-centered society. It is aimed at solving social problems using Internet of Things and IoT. Technologies like Internet of Things and IoT are very much helpful to implement society 5.0. Kaidoren, which is the Japan Business Federation, defined the concept of 5.0 as creation of new smart society that helps to resolve social issues rather than making simple productivity improvement. So the main focus of Society 5.0 is all about, if you take Society 4.0, we say that we are the information society. So 5.0, in Society 4.0, the era that we are living today, people are very much detached. I mean, they are attached to technologies and far away from each other. So what Society 5.0 tries to improve is this, that is making simple productivity improvement and the social issues to be more relevant. To create such society, we must eliminate barriers in 5 areas, like as a country, if you want to implement Society 5.0 as a certain continent or a country, then these barriers, there are these 5 barriers that will be challenge for us, which is misuse in the agencies, legal systems. You have to implement a new legal system, and then the technology issue will also be happened. Then the human resource and the public acceptance. The public even accept this new society, which we call Society 5.0. There is something that we didn't rise here in Society 5.0. There is privacy issue that will happen very much. The objectives of Society 5.0 is reducing social inequality, and with educational and sanitation programs and other resources.
Okay, Mr. Gemechu,
Okay.
the time is end, so we can go to the question and answer. There is a lot of question you can see on the chat.
Yeah.
From Aji Prakarsa, what is the role of education in the era of Society 5.0 in fulfilling of 21st century skill? What is the role of education?
What's the role of education?
Yeah.
Well, education plays a very pivotal role for the Society 5.0 to happen. In that sense, when we say education, we are not talking about only knowledge, we are talking about interaction of the society. So in Society 5.0, actually I didn't finish my slide, so I'll just try to explain it in the answer board. So this Society 5.0, which education would really be essential in Society 5.0, since in educational system, this Society 5.0 helps very much.
Okay. Another question is from Miss Devi Lesari. What is the obstacle when doing of Internet of Things? What is the obstacle when we are doing Internet of Things?
The obstacles or the challenges when doing the Internet of Things, the first thing we could say is the devices. The first thing is knowing Internet of Things. You have to know, if you know Internet of Things, the concept is how things are done, then the next step have to be, the very thing is that you have to find the devices. For example, the sensors that we say, they are very much sensitive, as the name itself implies. You have to find the sensors for your intention. For example, if you want to implement Internet of Things in your workplace, for example, let's say you have a shop or a mall, then you want to implement Internet of Things in that. There are 2 parts. You can implement them in the physical part, or you can implement them in the system part. So if you want to implement them in the physical part, you have to study your environment very much. And I hope the things that will be challenged is The first thing is the devices or the technology is new. The second one is the second challenge that will be very much challenging for you is the data itself. Controlling the data, if it is large, and then if when it becomes large and large, making the best use of your data will be a challenge, I hope.
Okay. Is there any question? Oh, I guess no. Okay. It's a very interesting presentation, and please, if you don't mind, please send the presentation on the chat, because some person asking for the presentation so they can read it later. It's also for Mr. Andrew. Please send your presentation on the chat, so the audience can read the presentation. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
One moment, sending now, sending. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation from Mr. Gemechu Wako from Oromia State University. I guess now we have the third speaker, Mr. Priyadi from STEKOM University. Mr. Priyadi, the time is yours.
Oke, thank you Mr. Nugroho. Mungkin di awal saya berikan pengantar terlebih dahulu ya. Maaf, ini dalam bahasa Indonesia. Nanti mohon Bapak Ibu moderator, kalau nanti saya ada masalah atau kesulitan dalam bahasa Inggris, mohon dibantu dalam berbahasa Inggris ya Pak, ya okay. Bapak Ibu ya.
Siap.
Oke, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me to introduce myself. I am Priyadi. My academic degree is Master of Computer. I currently teach at STEKOM University. Oh, sorry. I will share my presentation. Okay, this is my presentation. I currently teach at STEKOM University in courses related to programming and computer networks, especially wireless networks and web programming. Now I have 2 channel YouTubes. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. You can write STEKOM Priyadi PUD and Priyadi LTR. Yeah, you can find it. Before I start my presentation, I would like to pay tribute to STEKOM University Vice Chancellor, who have gave great speech at the start of this event. I also respectfully convey to the previous presenter, Mr. Moshensky Andrey and Mr. Gemechu Wako. Sorry if I spelled the name is wrong, for delivering the great presentation. I also thank the entire organizing team for the organizing this event so that the event can run well. Likewise, to all participants in this seminar, I am very grateful for their presence. Okay, let's start my presentation. My presentation was entitled Opportunities and Challenges of IoT Implementation for Society 5.0. I will discuss this topic from a conceptual and practical point of view in the field. I need to say at the beginning, yeah, in seminar later, I will also assist my Mr. Nugroho in English. Okay, let's start presentation. The first slide here, I will talk about a glimpse of IoT. The IoT, or Internet of Things, is network of dedicated device called things deployed and used to gather and exchange real-world data across the internet or other networks. Example of this technology in operating includes follow. The first is cardiac patients have a heart sensor installed after surgery, reporting diagnostic information about each patient's heart and monitoring physician. Next is homes use sensors to tasks including security, home management, such as lights and appliance control, with status reporting and control performed through smartphone apps. Next, farmers use moisture sensors throughout the field to direct irrigation where crops need it most. Next, ranches use location sensors placed on each head of cattle to both identify and locate cattle across the range. Next, industrial plants use sensors to monitor the presence of dangerous materials or workplace conditions and manage employee movement throughout the facility. And the last example, okay. Cities deploy a fleet of sensors to monitor route and traffic conditions, adjusting traffic control apparatus dynamically to route and optimize traffic based on prevailing situation. Okay, next slide. How does IoT work? Okay, I will discuss it. IoT isn't a single device, software or technology. Okay, it is an amalgam of devices, network, computing resource, and software tools and stack. Understanding IoT terminology usually starts with the IoT device themselves. The first is things. Every IoT device, thing or smart sensor, is a small dedicated computer processing and embedded processor, firmware and limited memory and network connectivity. The device collects specific physical data and sends that data out onto IP network, such as the internet. Depending on the sensor's work, it might also include amplifier, filters, and converters. IoT devices are battery powered and rely on wireless network connectivity through individual IP address. IoT device can be configured individually or groups. Next, still about how does IoT works? The next is connections. The data gathered by IoT device must be transmitted and collected. This second layer of IoT involves the broad network, along with an interface between the network and back-end processing. The network is typically a conventional IP-based network, such as an Ethernet LAN and the public internet. Every IoT device receives a unique IP address and unique identifier. The thing passes its data to the network using wireless network interface, such as Wi-Fi, or cellular network, such as 5G or 4G. As with any network device, data packets are marked with destination IP address where the data is to be routed and delivered. Such network data exchange is identical to everyday exchange of network data between ordinary computers. The destination for this raw sensors data is typically an intermediary interface, such as an IoT hub and IoT gateway. The IoT gateway usually serves to collect and collate the raw sensors data, often applying early pre-processing tasks, such as normalization and filtering to IoT data. Next, backend. The innermost volume of real-time data produced by an IoT sensors fleet and collected at the IoT gateway must be analyzed to yield deeper insight, such as exposing business opportunities or driving machine learning. The IoT gateway sends its cleaned and secured sensors data across the internet to back-end for processing and analysis. Analyses are performed using extensive computing clusters, such as Hadoop clusters. This back-end might be located at corporate data center, co-location facility, and computing infrastructure architected in the public cloud. There, the data is stored, processed, and modeled and analyzed. Okay, this is the figure about how does IoT work. This is the IoT device. It will connect it with something like thermometer, car, memories, etc. Next, what are the layers of an IoT architecture? Okay, the discussion of sensors, connection, and back-end layers can be help business and IT staff understand IoT technology, but such discussion also demands consideration of IoT architecture. Although the scope and detail of an IoT architectural plan can vary dramatically depending on the IoT initiative. It's vital for leaders to consider how IoT will integrate into the current IT infrastructure. There are major architecture issues. Okay, let's see. The first is infrastructure. This is still about what the layers of an IoT architecture. Yeah. The physical layer includes the physical layer includes IoT device, the networks and computing resource used to process the data. The infrastructure discussion often includes sensors types, quantities, locations, power, network interface, and configuration and management tools. Network involves bandwidth and latency consideration to ensure they can handle IoT device demand. Computing handles the analysis and backend, and organizations might need to deploy extensive new computing resource to handle additional processing or use on-demand resource, such as the cloud. Infrastructure discussions also involve a careful consideration of IoT protocol and standards, such as Bluetooth, GSM, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, and lower power wireless personal area network. Okay, next. Security. The data processed by Internet of Things can be sensitive and confidential. Passing such data across open network can expose device and data to snooping, theft, and hacking. Organization planning an IoT project must consider the best way to secure the IoT device and data in flight and at rest. Encryption is a common approach for IoT data security. Additional security must be applied to IoT device to prevent hacking and malicious change to device configuration. Security involves various software tools and traditional security devices, such as firewalls and intrusion detection and prevention system. Yeah. Okay, next. The next is integration. Integration is getting everything to work together seamlessly, ensuring the devices, infrastructure, and tools added for IoT will interoperate with existing system and applications, such as systems management or ERP, already in place in the organization. Proper integration requires careful planning and proof of principle testing along with a well-researched selection of IoT tools and platforms, such as Apache Kafka or Open Remote. Okay, next. The next is analytics and reporting. The very top of an IoT architecture is analytic, and reporting. This is require a detailed and understanding of how IoT data will be analyzed and used. This is application layer. Sorry. Which often includes the analytical tools like AI, machine learning, modeling and training engines, and virtual visualization or rendering tools. Such tools can be acquired from third-party vendors or used through cloud providers where data is stored and processed. Next, this is figure of IoT. We can see that this is a management network, agents and application. This is Equator, AgNet, and this is the bus. AgNet 2, Equator analysis, AgNet, and this is aggregation visualization. And the above and the below, this is any sensors and sensor analytic, and sensor net. Okay, next. Okay, this is the next is I will discuss about what is Society 5.0. Society 5.0 is concept that enables humanity to use modern technology-based science such as AI and robots to meet needs and make human life easier. The concept of Society 5.0 is actually not much different from the previous concept, namely Society 4.0. The difference lies in the context in which is focused, where Society 4.0 focuses on the context of technological development, while Society 5.0 focus on more on human context. This is point of difference. Okay, next. The next is society evolution concepts. Yeah. To understand the development of Society 5.0, we also need to understand previous generation starting from 1.0 to Society 5.0. Society 1.0, this is the era of hunting and humans are new to writing. Next is Society 2.0, the era of agriculture where humans are familiar with farming. The next is Society 3.0. This is the industrial era where humans started using machines for their daily activities. And next is Society 4.0. This is the era of computer technology to the internet to support human activities. And the last and currently society concept is 5.0. This era of technology where all technology is part of human themselves. The focus of 5.0 is humans, not machines. Okay, next. The main concept of Society 0.0 is humans who can create new values through technological development. This development is expected to minimize social inequality and economic problems. Currently, one of the countries has successfully implemented Society 5.0 is Japan. Okay. Next, benefit of Society 5.0. The development of technology have changed the role of humans in many ways. Many jobs have indeed been able to replaced by machines. But this has also been accompanied by the development of human abilities in various new things. One of them is in the world of marketing, where trends are developing for just ordinary marketing to the digital marketing era. namely marketing that relies on technology. The explanation above is one of illustration of the benefit we can feel from Society 5.0. Apart from that, there are several other benefits. Here are the full reviews. The first is improving self-quality. As the mentioned at the little above, technological development in Society 5.0 encourage human to us develop. This has an effect on increasing the quality of human self. Even though technology is getting advanced, humans still need their role to be able to operate this technology. Human skills are developed into the field of technology. In this era, many jobs and companies have become human resource with qualified technological capabilities. If we have their skills, then we will be sought after and need, so it will not be difficult to find work. Okay, so jangan khawatir ya. The next is expanding career opportunities. Continues the benefit above, those of us who have special skills in the field of technology will get wider career opportunities. Almost all jobs today requires technology. In addition, in terms of employment, technology is opening up new opportunities that did not exist in previous times. In the past, jobs are not known, such as web developers, web designers, digital marketers, and so on. All kinds of jobs.
Priyadi, 5 minutes more.
Okay.
Minute again.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Adinugro. All kinds of jobs were only created after the internet era, so that people in this era have more career choice. The next benefit is improve skills and make work easier. Okay, because the time is limited, I will accelerate my presentation. Yeah, and the next is improve welfare. Yeah, Society 5.0 allow humans to get a more secure welfare. HR income in the field of technology can be very high and can be eventually meet the needs of the worker life. The next is example of application Society 0.0. First example is delivery of goods. Second example is health sectors. The third is security system. Fourth is in transportation. Okay, and this is the potential risk of Society 0.0. The first is job replacement, and then privacy concerns, widespread use of technology within this concept may also raise concern about privacy, as individual personal data may be collected, used by companies or governments. Then issues about ethical issues, and then accessibility, and the last is societal change. Next, this is several steps that can be taken to address the potential deficiencies and challenges of Society 0.0, ensure that it's benefit of all members of society. The first is investment in education and training. Next is strong privacy protection implementation. The next is handle ethical issues. Next is encourage inclusivity, and the last is encourage collaboration and co-creation. Okay, I think my presentation is end. This time, this control of presentation.
Okay,
please,
there's
Mr.
okay, thank you, Mr. Priyadi. There's a question from Miss Dia Rahmi from YouTube. Her question is, about the condition of our country where the people of Indonesia not easily catch and on the spot of internet access area. So how the technician or engineer can break the uneasily coordinating the internet access area. So they also be apart from the information being easy to catch the information.
Kepada siapa pertanyaannya itu, Pak?
Kepada jenengan,
Oke.
to Mr. Priyadi.
Mohon maaf, saya jawab
Iya.
dengan bahasa Indonesia. Nanti mohon
Oke,
dibantu Pak
ya.
Nuk untuk bahasa Inggrisnya ya.
Oke.
Yang saya tangkap pertanyaan dari Mbak siapa tadi?
Mbak Diarami.
Mbak Diarahmi ya. Permasalahan pada internet di area-area tertentu di Indonesia yang belum ada, apakah mungkin teknisi itu kalau tidak salah tadi mengakali ya agar memudahkan akses internetnya gitu ya Pak ya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer for Mr. Priyadi is it the question is about how to hack or how to bridge the problem of the internet connection. Oke, Mr. Priyadi.
Oke. Jadi untuk masalah internet di Indonesia, memang ya untuk IoT ini sangat tergantung dengan teknologi internet ya. Sehingga masalah internet di Indonesia, bagaimana cara itu ya mengengineeringnya, mengakalinya agar bisa bisa diakses lebih luas dan lebih banyak. Tentu yang pertama itu ya sesuai dengan program pemerintah Indonesia itu peningkatan infrastruktur khususnya di bidang internet ini. Kemudian yang sifatnya
for the answer in Indonesia because we have a technical problem in the internet. So the first one that we have to do is in the government side, we have to raise the infrastructure in the internet. Oke. Selanjutnya.
Untuk ya itu ya solusi yang paling reguler yang paling umum semestinya seperti itu.
The first one solution, the second one.
Solusi alternatifnya itu seperti mungkin teman-teman kalau googling itu mungkin bisa lihat ya alat-alat alternatif untuk akses internet semacam bulik atau antena-antena rekayasa yang bisa membantu akses untuk daerah-daerah yang sulit akses internet itu.
Okay, the second one is how to hack the internet. We can use just like wajan bolik. Wajan bolik is parabolic made by frying pan. Okay, for the one who using English. Using internet by frying pan to create a parabolic antenna and also creating how to raise the capability of how to access the internet by hacking or by adding some tool. Oke, selanjutnya Pak Priyadi.
Oke, saya kira solusinya itu ya untuk mengenali internet, yaitu yang pertama infrastruktur, kalau enggak ya alat-alat alternatif tadi.
Oke.
Ya.
Oke.
Ada lagi enggak?
Oke, ya. Okay, there's no other question, but I also have additional statement because actually I very interesting in the first presentation of Mr. Andrew, and Mr. Andrew is still here. It's about internet packet data by radio.
Yes, of course.
That's I learned that technology maybe in 1998. The first one internet by packet data using using communication band. That's the first time I guess I read about that, and it's only send the small bandwidth of data. I guess it's extinct because now the internet is using is very wide. But from your presentation, the radio data for transmitting radio and the radio data radio bandwidth for transmit data is still exists. So actually, from the Mr. Moshensky Mr. Andrew Moshensky can be used to solve the problem in internet. Is it right, Mr. Andrew? To send data just like IoT, a small data, not a very high, not a video, but IoT data, just like the temperature or something that not a very wide bandwidth. Is it right? Then that your technology.
Is a question for me. I showed some interesting case for slow changing technologies. Sometimes not for very slow changing. It depends by some things. You remember the remit of Claude Shannon. Signal to noise ratio, data transfer link speed, and increase your output power of transmitter. So you can use another data rates.
Okay. And for and the
Now,
connection is
the
not good.
technology
Can
was
you
very,
repeat
very
again?
interesting thing. Maybe I don't. Excuse me. Again, what last part of sentence?
Can you repeat again? Your connection cut. Okay. Can you repeat it again? Your question.
Okay. 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 Not question. I said that.
Sorry.
Maybe what to say is that. That can limit influence to data channel for transmission of low-speed data. For high-speed data also, it will be influenced to your transmitter output power, or you will use higher data rate, so will make your bandwidth more wide, and also it will influence to your signal noise ratio due to another equation of Nyquist, temperature multiplied to bandwidth and multiplied to constant of Boltzmann. It's all well known, but I maybe forgot to say associative, and I use it sometimes. My transmitter and receiver of associative. And another kind, countries with Priyadi, some African country. Ukraine also have high mountains, Cappadocia, Crimea mountain, without cell network, without no any other connection, just data links with maybe satellites, maybe direct data link with reflection to use all of this technology and use license limits of industrial science medical sense.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the answer from Mr. Andrew Moshensky. Maybe Mr. Gemechu, Wako want to add the opinion about maybe in your country is it there is a obstacle in the internet, how to deal with internet in your country, Mr. Gemechu?
Okay. Well, there is obstacle in almost in every country. I wouldn't say it's very much of an obstacle for implementing IoT, but there are obstacles in some senses. For example, if you want to apply IoT in a large consensus, then you will need a network with high speed, like 5G, and to the minimum, you need to have a 4G of a network, because you are going to control some physical device by using a network. So it will need a high-speed network. But in our country's case, I wouldn't say much, because in urban areas like cities, first and second level cities, there is enough amount of network, so you can apply them there. And if we talk about Internet of Things and Ethiopia, I can assure you that much is not done on that area, since it is also a new technology, like we said. So that's what I would say, and I would recommend having networkers. They play a very pivotal role in making such new technologies work. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I guess there's no question anymore, so we can end the very interesting webinar. I return to Miss Novita. Please close this webinar.
Before we closing this session, let us take a photo together. For all audience, please open your camera. We will take a picture. Bagi para peserta, mungkin bisa dinyalakan terlebih dahulu untuk kameranya. Okay, let's take a picture. I will take a picture in count of 1, 2, and 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Smile.
Smile.
Finally, we come to the end of webinar today. We would like to say thanks again for all speakers for their wonderful information. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for our audience. And I hope we can meet again in another event in the future. Thank you for Mr. Moshensky Andrey, Gemechu Wako, and Mr. Priyadi. Also, I would like to thanks for all participants for attending this webinar and making this event more interesting. At least we hope to have more collaboration in the future, the webinar for today and share. We hope to see you soon. Maybe from another speaker, you will say something before we close this event. Okay. The webinar for today is end here. We hope to see you soon. Thank you and have a nice day for everyone. Thank you for Mr. Andrey, Gemechu, and Priyadi. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, Mr.
Bye-bye.
Andrew,
Thank you.
Mr. Kameshu, Mr. Priyadi, and
Thank you.
all the participants that watched this webinar from the start to end. Okay, thank you.
It's very good
Thank you.
session.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.